Hey, if you're enjoying Hooks and Ladders, and why wouldn't you be enjoying Hooks and Ladders? Be sure to like and subscribe, follow us on social media, and hey, head on over to songstudio.ca to check out what we're up to. If you sign up for our mailing list, you'll be the first to know everything that's coming up and everything special that we got going on at SongStudio. You won't regret it. Hey, welcome to Hooks and Ladders. What you're about to see is part of what we did at the SongStudio workshop in Toronto in July 2022. There'll be lots more to see. We're just going to roll it out a little bit at a time. So sit back and enjoy. And if you want to know more about SongStudio, visit www.songstudio.ca and check us out. Enjoy.
Yeah, Michael, well, just on a note of that, I'm a friend who specializes in voiceover. I'm talented to find a voice for a film or a TV spot. And no longer you send a demo, you have to record the actual text
Right.
of the version or the script, because they don't want to imagine what we sound like reading their words.
Right.
So that's the same theory. I want to ask you, do you rely on being pitched or do you scout it?
Both.
Okay.
Yeah,
How do you scout it?
Yeah, that's a great question. The short pitch answer is that with the relationships that we've built over X amount of years, we're on lists. So people send us music from all over the place. I used to get 700 CDs, 1,000 CDs a week. Okay, maybe I'm exaggerating, 500, whatever. It was a ridiculous amount of CDs when there were CDs. Now we get links to stream links, download links, save it here, save it there. Hundreds of links a week. And so we're on that list. So people are just pitching us on a general basis. You know, I work at the sync agency, which represents writers or recordings. Here's 20 songs, and they do it once a month. Some do it once a week. The record labels send things, publishers send things. So we're getting all this stuff just coming in, which I like to call, it's more of a push to us, we're not pulling for it, right? It's pushed to us. In terms of scouting, I'm out, well, I was out a lot more, but I used to go out 6 nights a week. For about 3, 4, 5 years, I was out all the time. And I loved it. And I used to meet a million people who would introduce me to a million people. So you start getting that kind of scouting going on, and then they would send you music. Traveling, I would meet people, they would send me music. Now we get to the pitching. So the pitching part is when we have a TV series and we will create what we call an email blast. And we'll send out a note to, we have 1,500 people on our list right now. Here's the show, TV series we're working on. Here's what we're looking for. We're looking for pop music. We're looking for dance music. We're looking for singer-songwriter, teen love, no expletives in the lyrics, clean lyrics. We're looking for singer-songwriter stuff. We're looking for upbeat. We're looking for romantic. We'll give a bunch of adjectives. We'll also explain the fee structure. And please send in your music by this day. That would be our pitch note to people to submit music. And when that happens, we get, you know, an extraordinary amount of emails of really great music and some not so great music. What's interesting to me is when we ask for that, people will still send country, or metal or something, but we didn't ask for it.
Right.
But what happens is that's what they have and they don't want to miss out. It's a waste of everybody's time, I'll just say that. Yeah. I mean, our time is as valuable as anybody else's time. I didn't want to say it's just a waste of our time. It's just not a smart move.
Again, it's making their life more difficult. Don't do it.
Right, and you know what? People send back a note like 3 weeks later, like, hey, Michael, you know, we didn't have anything, so hopefully we'll get your next pitch. And I'm like, oh, that's great. I love that. Don't necessarily expect an email back, because if we spent our time emailing everybody that sent us music, we wouldn't actually be able to do our jobs. That is not a knock against us being rude or mean or disrespectful.
You can send Michael a link to music and never hear anything until you hear, hey, I'm hoping you're still interested in placing your song because we have this opportunity.
Yeah.
So to bother him in the meantime to say, yeah, but did you like the guitar solo? Do you think it was too long? What about the harmony? Or just generally, did you like it? Don't. Make their life easier.
On that topic, you said you get hundreds of links, you used to get 500 CDs. You can't listen to all this even close to it. What would cause you to listen to something that comes in unsolicited?
Chocolates and champagne, man. I see none of it here.
Yeah.
Just so you know.
What's going on, you guys? Yeah.
Well, when we ask for pitches, we want to listen to it because it's very specific to our show that we're working on. In other cases, in other weeks or other months, we just listen. Like that's just what our job is. Like I don't know how to. Two things maybe. These agencies that I talked about, they're third-party agencies, and what they do is that they represent people to music supervisors, so that you're not pitching yourself; they're doing it on behalf of you. Think about it as an actor's agent or a writer's agent or a director's agent or a booking agent.
Yeah.
They are trusted sources because they know how it works. They know the kinds of fees that we do. They know the kinds of deals that we do. They also know how to pitch because they've been doing it for 15 years. They know what to give us. They're not going to give us heavy metal when we don't ask for it. They're going to understand, oh, we can't pitch that song because that's got a co-writer on it who's signed to whatever and we'll never get that for the fees that are being asked for, and they're just the pros in the business. No problem for you to send me your music. It doesn't mean you're not a pro. They just are an intermediary, and like we talked about, a trusted source for us. That paperwork, administration, understanding rights, knowing there are no samples, knowing it's not a cover song, and the list goes on, we can deal with them. So we would listen to that stuff too. But we just try to listen to everything. You know, if you'd pitched me cold and said, here's some rock music and it's got a bit of this and that in it, and I'm like, oh, I'm kind of looking for that. Timing, big thing. You know, timing's a big thing. Timing is big. I know.
How much of a description do you have to put in, or should somebody put in when they're sending you something?
Super short, super succinct. You know, I love the, you know, if Lady Gaga and Liberace had a kid, or Lady Gaga and you know, Kid Rock had a kid, or whatever it is.
So the combination of artists
I like that.
references works for you. Yeah.
What I don't like is, here's a great song.
Oh yeah.
For a specific scene.
Yeah.
Blah 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 blah. You know, whatever the scene is, and meanwhile the song is literally the lyrics about that scene. Like, that's not going to happen.
Yeah.
Here are two guys sitting talking to a room full of people in a white room, and you know, that kind of thing.
The producer of a film I worked on wanted a song in a scene, and when I delivered the song, it was working rhythmically and emotionally and so forth, but the two guys were smoking a cigarette standing on the street. And he said, do you not have anything with the lyric about two guys smoking a cigarette standing on the street? Like, not kidding. So
listen, I think if it were like an Austin Powers movie,
yeah, that'd be hilarious.
There are places for that. There are places for that kind of funky humor, fun humor.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Okay, so I know you guys have questions as well, but I think this is important. I'm curious, streaming versus broadcast, streaming on Netflix and the other services versus broadcast television, the royalties are lower for streaming.
That's an understatement.
Yes, lower or non-existent, depending. So, but have the upfront fees gone up as a result to compensate for that? I don't think so.
That's a great question. That's a great question. I think in general, the streamer shows have more money than some broadcast shows. I don't think it's necessarily intentional to offset.
No.
I think it's just budgetary.
Yeah.
And realizing music is an important element or character in a show for Netflix, for Amazon, for Disney. It also depends on the producer and the showrunner and how they want, you know, do they think that because if music is important, they want X amount of dollars? It can get a little more complicated, which I won't get into, but I don't know if there's a connection there.
Okay.
I don't think there's necessarily a connection. I'd like to think, though, that fees have gone up
Yeah.
for those kinds of productions.
Right,
Because people are also getting smarter.
Yes.
And I will say, that a record label has said to me recently, and a couple of publishers, oh, it's a Netflix show, here's our minimum. You can't even negotiate below that. I mean, I can try, but you can't really negotiate below that because it's Netflix. And they're like, maybe it's because of that too.
Yeah, maybe.
Maybe.
When I began licensing music to film and TV, it was in the early 90s. And at that point, the impression I had from music supervisors was that dealing with labels and publishers made it too complicated and made their jobs difficult. So that's why they liked indie music, in addition to the indie music often being great, the stuff that they're selecting. But they could deal with one person for both the master and the song. They didn't have to deal with publishers and labels.
And it was also expensive.
Right.
It was very expensive back then. It's
Yeah.
a little different now. They play ball the majors a little bit more because they see the the competition of the independent world, whether it's you guys or record labels or independent record labels or publishers. I think it was 60,000 songs released on Spotify every day or every week
day or something.
something.
Yeah, something like that.
I mean,
yeah.
it's crazy,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
I was just looking at it the other day and going through some things. And I'm like, I can't believe how much music's out there.
Yeah.
You know? Oh, I think I'll just sit in silence for 5 minutes.
Yeah.
Not a good thing for a music supervisor to say, but we need that break. Obviously, everybody needs that break.
So I have the big question, but I have a second personal interest question just before. This personal interest question is, my son and I watched Vikings, and you were the supervisor on Vikings, right?
That is correct.
Okay. So what I want to know is there's a lot of music that happened on set, and you were working with Trevor Morris, composer.
So we didn't do a lot on Vikings.
Yeah. They weren't licensing
didn't
Adele
do a
songs
lot.
or anything like that.
No.
But what about the on-set music?
Right.
I would say to my son, okay, Michael Perlmutter must have had to deal with this somehow, because there's music that clearly was generated by the composer, but that the actors were acting like they were beating these drums and singing these songs and so forth. So what was your role in that?
I will plead the fifth. Okay, I'll take that back.
Will you tell me later?
We did not do a lot on Vikings. Most of the work that we did on Vikings was backstage, cue sheets, sending some songs kind of for temp and that kind of stuff, temp for the score. The two things that we did on Vikings, so Trevor Morris did all the score. He did a beautiful job. Early on, we had found a band, or somebody found a band called Wardruna, who are based out of Norway. We decided to license a few of their songs. And 6, 7 songs, I can't remember, 9 songs. As we were licensing that, production really loved, he's going to kill me because I don't remember his name, the lead singer, the main guy from Wardruna. Lovely human. I actually got to meet him when I went to Norway. He took me on a tour of a Vikings museum.
Oh, wow.
A Viking ship museum, not all the Vikings, but the ship. And they decided, let's use him. Let's use his voice. Maybe he'll help co-write some music with Trevor. So he was in a few scenes, or 1 or 3, I can't remember, singing. They did the pre-record,
Right.
probably in a studio.
Right.
And then he, would lip sync it on set. Maybe they did him live also. In addition to that, somewhere in Europe, Trevor, at a specific kind of a conference, I wish I could remember it, that celebrates score, put an orchestra together on stage and did an hour's worth of Viking score to an audience of 2,000 or 3,000 or whatever it was, and brought this gentleman in to sing with him a couple of the cues, a couple of the pieces. So I wish you brought up another show, but Vikings was incredible and beautiful, but really we did a lot less than
I see.
we get credit for. See, we're honest.
Yeah.
We're honest.
Yeah.
Well,
Yes.
I am.
Yes, Michael.
For better or for worse.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We hope you've enjoyed this little taste of the SongStudio workshop in Toronto in July 2022. Stay tuned for more.